A giant cruise ship unexpectedly snapped in half while sailing. However, what was even more terrifying was that the front half was gradually sinking, being swallowed by the sea. The crew could only watch in sorrow, unable to do anything. Some crew members, upon hearing the news, wanted to abandon ship and escape in the lifeboats. But outside, the waves were towering over 30 meters high, and trying to escape in a lifeboat would only accelerate their deaths. The chief engineer grabbed an axe and cut the lifeboat's rope. The lifeboat was immediately torn apart by the waves. A few crew members who saw this felt a deep sense of dread. As time ticked away, nearly all the crew members were on the verge of despair. There were only 4 more hours before the ship would completely sink. Luckily, thanks to the bulkheads, the fuel tank, engine, and bilge pump remained intact. So, to prevent the ship from sinking to the bottom of the sea, they needed to quickly fashion a manual rudder to control the ship's course. The chief engineer immediately led a team to carry steel beams and make the rudder. With everyone working together, the ship's course was finally stabilized. Next, the chief engineer devised the next plan. 4 people were assigned to the rudder and bilge pump, while 2 others continuously blew the ship's whistle to signal for help. 3 crew members stayed on the deck to look for a shallow shore, and the rest formed a chain to relay messages from the deck to the engine room. After explaining the plan, everyone immediately began their tasks. On the deck, the 3 crew members spotted a nearby shallow shore. Everyone was filled with excitement. They quickly relayed the course coordinates down. Once the coordinates were accurate, they were passed on to the engine room. The crew responsible for controlling the rudder immediately adjusted the ship's course, focusing all their efforts on steering. Just as they were nearing hope, a violent gust of wind mixed with towering waves struck. The ship rocked violently, and the rudder became uncontrollable. A massive surge of water rushed in, extinguishing the remaining hope of the crew. Driven by the huge waves, they were pushed farther from the shallow shore. The entire ship was now on the brink of sinking. The chief engineer suddenly noticed the chain above, risking being thrown overboard. He tried to use the waves' power to push the ship toward the shore. He then arranged for the crew to securely fasten the rudder again with the chain. Once everything was ready, they restarted the cruise ship, but because they had missed the optimal turning point, they now had to complete the turn in just 2 minutes, or they would lose the shallow shore for good. In the end, relying on the chief engineer's extensive sailing experience and the close cooperation of the crew, the ship successfully used the waves force to reach the shallow shore and run aground. However, at that moment, water began to pour in rapidly, causing the engine's intake to flood. It quickly malfunctioned, and the whole cruise ship was plunged into darkness. A wave of despair swept over the crew. The seawater would gradually fill the entire ship until it sank to the bottom of the ocean. All the crew could do was wait for death sentence. At that moment, a bright beam of light suddenly shone in. The crew felt as if they saw hope. They hurriedly made their way to the deck. It was the rescue team that had discovered their distress signal. After enduring several hours of hardship and danger, they had finally arrived.